Hey everyone, welcome to week 1 of the Nutrition Challenge. This week we're asking everybody to weigh and measure their food, log everything that you eat. You can use MyFitnessPal or pen and paper and a notebook, whatever floats your boat. And we're asking you guys to read food labels.
Yeah, absolutely. And the reason why is because this week is all about self-awareness. You can't change what you don't track. And we want to get you comfortable with understanding how much you're eating and what you're eating, okay? And part of that journey is going to be learning how to use the tools in your kitchen, not be scared of them, and how to use the app if you're using the app, or just get in the habit of actually writing stuff down. It's just gonna take a different approach to how you're consuming food. And if you want to make changes, it'll be a lot easier there.
Yeah, so the tools that we use are a food scale. We have measuring cups, measuring spoons, and liquid measuring cup.
Okay, let me show you. I want to show you one item here, and this is what I do. I'm going to show you the easiest item, the thing I usually start off with, which is protein. And I'm going to show you how to use the food scale. Now, the food scale, this is the food scale we use. Some people have some that have codes on there where you say, I'm putting beef on there, and it will actually tell you how much protein and stuff is in that beef. And that's cool if you're using that. We have a very simple one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to place my cutting board here. You could use your plate, place it on there. And when I turn this bad boy on, it should zero out. If it does not, so if I take this off, and this measures out at like 1 point something pounds right here. But I put it on there and it should zero out. This gives me a good surface to place my protein on there. And what I want you to do is I want you to put what you normally consume. For me, my general rule of thumb is just so I know how much I'm doing, so I don't have to keep using the scale every time. I go about the size of my fist. That's just what I do. I'm just going to use this right here. I'm just going to place this here. Just going to move that around a little bit so you can see what this is. And that comes out to about 4.9 ounces, okay? And I'm measuring on the ounce area. And if I wanted to check grams, I can just hit unit and just change it over. It's about 14 grams, okay? So this is how to use the food scale. I just keep going back and forth. If I want to add another item while I'm on this, let's say I want to throw some veggies on there, I can actually just zero this out by hitting tear. It'll zero out, and then I put my new object on there. So if you have a plate and you're constructing your plate, it's a really easy way to keep using this, okay?
But now if you were to add veggies, you would probably switch over to grams.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And when I measure my protein, I always go ounces. That's just how I count for some reason. And when I measure everything else, it's usually in grams. So ounces are the only thing that I measure protein in. And I think that goes across the board with both of us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And MyFitnessPal is really cool in that with a lot of the food items, you can switch in between your measuring units. So, I mean, we always measure our protein in ounces, but I'm sure that in MyFitnessPal you can measure it in grams. And you can use your food scale to measure in grams, and you're going to get the same result. Okay, so the next food item, almond butter. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's look at the nutrition facts because that's going to tell us our serving size. Serving size is 2 tablespoons. So again, this week you're not changing anything except weighing and measuring and logging. But so take your normal amount that you would normally eat. Let's say you're making an almond butter sandwich, or you want some almond butter with your banana. So take a tablespoon here, because that's the measurement that they give us for the serving size, and scoop out 2 tablespoons, okay? If that isn't your normal amount and you're like, well, this is too little.
Your bread is empty and you're like, yeah. What is this?
I can't even cover my whole slice of bread. Go ahead, add 2 more. Now when you go into MyFitnessPal, your serving size is going to be 2, right? Because you did 4 tablespoons and a serving size is 2 tablespoons. And then if you did 3 tablespoons, your portion would be 1.5.
Now, Linz, if I put my peanut butter here, is it supposed to be level, or can it be like rounded? Like if I just take like this thing right here and all the peanut butter sticks on here like this?
Yeah, ideally it should be level, okay? That's going to be the most accurate, but we don't want you guys to get too nitpicky over this, So if it's rounded a little over, a little under, that's okay. That's absolutely fine. Be consistent. That's all we're asking.
Okay. I'm going to show you something else. So we have a really good example of how to use the scale, how to use the measuring, these measuring spoons, measuring cups. But now I have something like this right here. Now normally you don't have a label like on here. I'm going to use the label just for reference, but if you have spinach and it doesn't come with a bag and label, which most of your vegetables do, I will say this, most of your green leafy vegetables, you could probably throw as much as you want in there. You could put it in MyFitnessPal and it's going to yield like nothing on there, which is great because it means you can eat as much as you need to. But in this case, what I do if I want to just see how much I'm doing, I'm going to use whatever big thing I have. If you have a dry measuring thing, or and this one I'm going to use a liquid one because it's one of the bigger ones we have. I'm going to take my normal 2 handfuls, I'm going to shove it in here. And when I put 2 handfuls in here, it's about 4 cups. And if I look at the serving size on this, a half cup, and that'll tell me what's on the label. So if I'm on MyFitnessPal, I just put in, I did 8 servings of a half cup, and that's my 4 cups, and that's how I would measure so weighing the protein, measuring out the veggies on this.
Now normally we do recommend that you stick to the dry good cups for dry foods and the liquid measuring cups for liquids, but that's an exception because Rick consumes so much.
A trash bag full of spinach.
Yeah. So let's talk about alcohol.
Yeah.
Okay. So here I've already poured a glass of wine. This is my normal pour that I would have with an evening meal or Friday night, whatever. But we need to figure out how much is in here so that I can log it into MyFitnessPal. So I have my liquid measuring cup here, okay? And I'm just gonna pour this in. Okay, so we have about 3/4 of a cup or 6 ounces, okay? So I'll just take that. It was a Cabernet Sauvignon, and I'll just go to MyFitnessPal. If you can find the exact wine, that's great. If not, just pick any, whatever blend it is that you're drinking or varietal, and log in your amount. So that's alcohol.
Okay, we're going to show you another item that a lot of people don't think about weighing and measuring. They don't think about tracking, but it's as important as everything else. And that's going to be the oils you use. And usually when you coat the pan, like maybe if you're, like when we cook our bulk vegetables, we put olive oil on it. When we cook our meats, we put olive oil on it. So that's something that we have to consider, that when we're cooking with it, it's also stuff that we're consuming. If it's going in your pan, it's stuff that we're consuming. So sometimes we'll cook the meat, we'll put it in the fridge, and then when I cook it again, I might put it back on the stove and I'll use a little bit more olive oil. So I have to understand that that's going to affect also. And I showed this right here because if you read the label on this, now this is not the best choice, and we'll get to that later, but we have this here, and it's canola oil. Now this has 0 on everything on the label, but that's a 1/4 second of a spray, okay? I know when I use this thing, I spray the pan down, especially if it's something like eggs, and you're probably getting about a tablespoon worth, maybe less, but about a tablespoon, maybe more in some cases.
Maybe
so,
a teaspoon.
Maybe. But with that being said, go to that, whatever you think it is, teaspoon or tablespoon. I would say go to a tablespoon and put that in for canola oil on MyFitnessPal and use that number. Because even though it says 0, who sprays for a 1/4 second? And I refuse to believe that this has no calories whatsoever. It is a canola oil. So if you use an olive oil, if you take a look right here, this has 1 tablespoon is 14 grams of fat. So it's important to know that this does affect what's in your food. So if you try coating a pan with 1 tablespoon and see if that's what you normally use, you might be like, man, I use a lot more than that. If I'm cooking eggs, there's like 3 or 4 tablespoons in there.
That's
so
a lot.
just, yeah, I don't want my eggs to stick. Anyways, just make sure that you double check your oils.
Okay. The last thing we have for you guys is some barbecue sauce. We're not going to go over like the serving size here, but we just want to quickly read over this ingredient list for everyone's awareness. Probably,
just the first
probably
five.
especially ours since we're eating it.
Just the
our
first
house.
five items.
Okay, so it starts off with tomato puree. Not too bad.
Not bad. I'll take that.
Then we got brown sugar.
Brown sugar. Okay.
Sugar.
That's the third ingredient.
Honey.
Huh.
Molasses.
Huh.
All right, so right there, we're 5 ingredients in, and already they've given us sugar in 4 different ways. So again, if this is what you normally eat it. But be aware of what you're eating. Be aware that this barbecue sauce has lots of sugar in it.
And if you didn't know that the first item is usually the highest percentage of the stuff in there. The second item is the next highest percentage, and then it goes down the thing. So sometimes you might see something with the seasonings and they say like less than 2% of this. Typically that stuff you shouldn't have to be worried about unless you have a reaction to it. Then you have to worry about all ingredients on there. But in terms of like how it affects the nutrients in there, the first 3 or 4 items are extremely important. And this, as Lindsay demonstrated, the first 5 items were sugar. Let's go to another item. I think this one, the peanut butter or the almond butter as well, seemingly a healthy item. You know, I'm going to crush this for some good healthy. What do people think it is? Like it's good healthy fat, right?
Yeah, it's a healthier alternative to peanut butter.
Yeah.
That's what I would think. You know, it's paleo, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
But yeah, this one.
The ingredients is blanched roasted almonds.
That's good.
Organic and fair trade cane sugar.
Ooh, they hid that, right? They said it's because it's organic and fair trade, right? They're getting you on the social, and it's organic.
Yeah.
But it is still cane sugar.
That's the second ingredient.
Yeah.
So just something to be aware of, okay? So that's it from us. So this week, weigh and measure your food, log it in, whatever is your weapon of choice, and read your food labels. And contact us if you guys have any questions about what we've discussed here, or you know, if you can't figure out how to weigh and measure a weird, odd item. Oh, you know what? We didn't cover eating out. If you guys are getting takeout from somewhere during the week, you know, do your best to log it in. Take a look at what it is. So let's say you ordered a sandwich from Subway, okay? So a sandwich is composed of 2 pieces of bread generally. So try to find 2 pieces of bread in MyFitnessPal that closely resembles the bread that you're eating. And in fact, Subway may not be the best example because Subway might actually be in MyFitnessPal, but we'll continue with this example. And so then let's say you get turkey and mayo, okay? So just approximate how much turkey is in that sandwich and how much mayo they put on there. You know, maybe just guesstimate 1 tablespoon. And then let's say you threw some cheese on there. So 1 or 2 ounces of cheese, okay? Do your best when it comes to dining out.
Almost all of your major food chains, I would say probably all of them are on MyFitnessPal, so you shouldn't have any problem with that. Just make sure you don't forget about that. And like Lindsay said, if you don't know, you could always take your sandwich apart, deconstruct your sandwich, put it on your scale. But we're just saying, Lindsay's saying that we want to make it easy for you.
Yeah.
And so it might just be an approximation.
Yeah, and that's totally cool, guys.
Yeah. There's another thing we didn't address in terms of weighing cooked meat versus raw meat. Technically, when you look at the nutrient data of stuff, like 1 ounce is about 7 grams of protein. That's in raw, and when you cook it down, it's about 25% less in weight. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that at all. Just be consistent. Cook all your stuff cooked, or weigh all your stuff cooked if it's helpful. If you want to weigh it raw, just be consistent weighing it all. All we're trying to say is track.
And be consistent.
Be consistent. That's it.
Yeah. Have a good week. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you guys soon.